everybody, welcome back to Taji's World of Books and welcome to another book series recommendation video. Hey you guys, welcome back. I am so happy to be here today talking about all things Giana Darling. You know, last night that would have been on the 20th of February, we did, Charles and I from Books on Stereo, did a live show with Giana Darling and we talked all things Fallen Men and some other surprising kind of interesting little tidbits. We also had Tori on. I'll link her channel down below. She joined us because she absolutely loves Giana Darling and it was just a fun, amazing time. And so I wanted to save this recommendation video until after that went live. So if you want to hear what we had to say with Giana and what she had to say about how she was inspired and, you know, what was her muse and her thinking behind developing the Fallen Men series and what's coming in the future and how it ties into some of her other series, then pop over there. I'll put the links in the description below. You can go and check it out. But if you just want to hear me talk a little bit about non-spoilery kind of talk about the Fallen Men series, then stay tuned. Okay, so I am going to talk about, so remember I do my new rating scale, which I'm going to tell you how angsty it is. I'm going to give you overall, I'm going to tell you spice rating. I also am going to tell you what trope it falls in, and I'm just going to give you an overall sort of synopsis of what the book is about. Okay, so know that these books are not meant to be read out of order. People can do whatever they want to do. If you want to pick up one and you can do it that way, but the best reading experience would be to start from the beginning and work your way through, because each character has a HEA or a happy for now at the end of the particular book, but there will be cameo appearances throughout all of the series, and you will see all of these couples throughout the book because there's an ongoing developing plot and there's a newfound family. So in order to really make the most of that, you should read each of the books in order, starting with the first book, which is Lessons in Corruption. And I absolutely love Lesson in Corruption. This is King and Cressida's story. This is an age gap, a student teacher, and obviously this is a fallen MC. And so King is the son of Zeus Garrow, King Kyle Garrow, and he basically, the way it starts off is he sees Cressida from like across the parking lot. He just sees this woman and he's like, oh my God. It's like almost like Cupid strikes a bow into his heart and he's like, I have to have her. Like, she has to be mine. Who is this woman? And they don't really interact, but he just sees her and he knows that she is just irresistible to him. And he's 18 years old. He's a patched-in member of the Fallen MC Club. Zeus is his father. He's the prez of the MC. And so King basically sets off on a mission to seduce her, and he is going to make her his for whatever it takes. And the only thing she really recognizes is that this guy is 18 years old and I am older than him. I think she's like 26 or something at the time. And she's like, you're a boy, like this is not gonna work. Like, I don't see how we can make this work. And not to mention she's married, but at the very beginning, so this is not spoiler, at the very beginning, she recognizes she got married really young. She married an older guy. She felt very pressured to marry him. She's like, this is not working out. Like, I just need to, and basically one night she packs up her shit and she's like, I can't do this. Like, this, it doesn't work for me. It's not really even working for you. I'm out. But the husband refuses to let her go. So while she's separated from her husband and living in a cabin, and she's basically taken off from, because her parents are not supportive of her separating from her husband. Her brother is just recently, her brother's name is Lysander. Brother has just recently gotten out of prison, and he supports her and he's there for her, but he's got his own stuff he needs to work out. And so she's living in a cabin, and basically the only person that is there for her to help her is King. King is like, no matter like what it is, King is always there, but there's a twist, a plot twist. So if you haven't read it, I don't want to give it away too much, but there's definitely plots that develop. There's betrayal that comes up. There are lies. There are rival gangs, the Night Stalkers that sort of come in. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on. And what I love about Giana Darling's writing is that there is no artificial angst. These are legitimate, like the things that everybody has to deal with, from like the stuff that the MC is dealing with to the stuff that Cressida and King have to deal with are legitimate concerns that they have to work through, both in their relationship, both in societal concerns, like just across the board. It's like legitimate, and you're rooting for these couples in so many ways. And it's just an amazing story. And it's one of the best age gap student-teacher kind of situations that I've ever read. So let me say this. Overall, I gave it a 5. Spicy, I gave it a 4. And angsty-wise, I gave it a 3. So worth it. The second book in the series is Welcome to the Dark Side, and oh my God, this is so amazing. First of all, Jason Clark is the narrator for the audiobook, so like, need I say more about that? So the audio, if you want to try out the audiobook, like, definitely try it out. And I'm gonna say this is, the tropes are an age gap. This is a 21-year age gap, okay? And it's forbidden in the sense that she is a child when they meet, and he is an MC president, or he's like in an MC, and he's a father of like 2 children that are the same age as Lulu, the character here. But the way that Giana Darling crafts this story, you're like, how is she gonna make this 21-year age gap work? He starts off by corresponding with this child, and I'll tell you how that come to be, and like, how am I gonna feel about this? And it just works. It works so well in terms of his own angst about it, how he feels about it, how they develop that relationship, and what it becomes. And when you see the different stages and progressions of their relationship over time, how it evolves, it's absolutely amazing. So let me say this. Lulu comes into Zeus's life because he saves her as a child in a shootout, and he basically takes a bullet for her, and the bullet goes through him into her, but it saves, because he slows the trajectory down, it saves his life. And so they're both in the hospital together, and they start, she calls him, what does she call him? She calls him her like something monster. I can't remember exactly, you know, like her savior monster or something like that. And so like they start to have conversations in the hospital. She sneaks out of her bed and goes down to the ER where he is because she has to see him. And so they, like, she starts to correspond with him because, and how she does that is that a nurse that works at the hospital knows him and knows how to get in touch with him. And he goes to jail for some things that have happened, and while he's in jail they correspond, and so they start corresponding when she is 7 and he's 26, and it progresses in the story. So it goes on like he's 28, she's 9, and then they go on so on and so forth, and there definitely is like a newfound family. Zeus continually rejects her as she becomes of age, 18, and she wants to pursue something. He continually rejects her, and she continually pushes the agenda and really tries to develop a relationship. But he's like, this is wrong. I have children the same age as you. I've known you since you were 7 years old. I'm not cool with it. And she is absolutely not going to take no for an answer. And so things evolve and progress from there. So I'm going to say overall this is a 5, angst-wise it is a 4, and spice-wise it is a 5. So good. This is one of my favorite books in the series. So then I'm going to say and I'll put it over here, you should go ahead and read Fallen Sun. And Fallen Sun is a 2.5 novella. This is more, it's a Christmas novella. It's more about Zeus and Lulu. And there's some things that are happening. I don't want to reveal too much about it. She's afraid to reveal something to the club, but she feels like it's important. They are afraid. Now, one of the things that I didn't say about Lulu is that in this book, we learn that Lulu has leukemia, and she's very sick. And because she's very sick, she sort of takes it like, I'm going to live life as best I can, regardless of any other circumstance, because she never knows if the future is promised to her. And so when she's a young girl, she learns that she has this terminal or potentially terminal illness, but it goes into remission. She gets it under control, and then later on it comes back again, and so she's dealing with this. And so then when we get into the Fallen Sun, it comes up again, and something comes up, and people are worried, like, are you sick again, or what's going on? And so like it's sort of a little twist on things, and a new character is introduced in Fallen Sun as well, and it's really good, and I don't want to give too much away because it'll spoil it if you haven't read the series. Okay, so then the next book in the series is Good Gone Bad. This is book 3. This is an enemies to lovers and an age gap. This is, the narrators are really, really great. It's Lucy Rivers and Troy Duran. So good, amazing, perfect characters. They do perfect characters for this series, or for this book. This is about Harley Rose, and Harley Rose is the daughter of Zeus, okay, and the sister to King. And when it starts off, we learn that Harley has been being abused by her long-term boyfriend, and named Cricket. And nobody, Zeus, her brother, nobody has known this, and she has kept it a secret. But she has also kept a secret that she has a long-term sort of connection, if you will, to Lion Donner. So, and he is a police officer. And she tells the story in much the same way that Zeus and Lulu's story were told. So we find out, so we start off in the beginning that she's being abused, something happens, and Lieutenant Donner, she calls him instead of calling any of her like family, because she's in trouble. And so it's like, why would you call him? Why would you call Zeus? And so like Zeus is like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why am I in the police station and she called you? I'm her father. Why didn't she call me? And then they go back and tell the story backwards. And so it like really starts off with like, I think she's like, you know, she's like 10 years old or whatever, and he is like, you know, 17, and it tells the story forward. And so much of that time that Zeus was in prison, Lion Donner was in her life and helping to raise her. And so now it is their story of like an evolution of enemies to lovers. She hates him because he's a police officer. It's a really complicated tale. We also see the introduction of the Berserkers, which is a rival MC, and Cricket was a part of the MC. So then there's this infiltration where you have to infiltrate a rival gang so that you can expose the deeds that they're doing to protect the people that you love, and what lengths are you willing to go to protect the people that you love. And Harley Rose is hardcore. She's a biker chick. She is like, I will do what I need to do, and I don't need your permission, I don't need your permission, I don't need your permission to protect my family. You do it for us, so why, because I'm a female, do I have to ask permission of you to protect you? I'm not going to. I just need you to support me. She is badass, and I love it, love it, love it. So overall, I gave this a 4. Angst-wise, I gave it a 4, and spice-wise, I gave it a 4. The next book in the series is After the Fall, and this is narrated by Jacob Morgan and Savannah Peachwood. So amazing. Like, should I say more about those narrators? This is an age gap. This is also unrequited love, and this is a forced proximity situation. Okay, so this is more of an update regarding Cressida and King, and we see like there's a development in the story. We're seeing where he's going with his relationship to the MC, with his relationship to Cressida. We're seeing what's going on with his relationship with his father. We're seeing developments with the MC in their lives, things that are happening. Just more like just an updated sort of story about how Cressida and King's story evolves and what happens. It's just absolutely amazing. I gave this an overall 5. I gave it an angst of a 5, and I gave it a spice of a 4. So then we go to Inked in Lies. This is book 5. This is, the trope is unrequited love and friends to lovers tropes. And let me say this. This is the story of Jonathan Nova and Lila. And we have seen Nova and Lila in the books previously, so you know that Lila has had a crush on Nova for a very, very long time, and it is unrequited. And he just is like checked out. And basically all of his brothers are like, either you do something about that or you're gonna miss out on a really great thing, but Nova can't get his head out of his ass. And so we see then in this book the long history that they have together. Nova comes from an amazing, really good family. He has amazing parents, and Lila did not. And she basically lived across the street. Her mother was murdered by her father. Her father was in some nefarious dealings, and as a result, her and her brother needed to be adopted and needed to be taken into foster care. and they were abused in foster care. And so Nova and his family stepped in and took care of Lila and her brothers. And as a result, one brother goes off to war, and Lila has lived with him, Nova, and his family since she was a little kid. And so as a result, he sees her as his responsibility to protect. He does not see her in a romantic way. However, she absolutely sees him in that way. And he struggles. He struggles in so many ways to come to terms with this. But he is also dealing with some issues. Lila is dealing with depression because of some things that happen. She has loved him for 18 years, and she's gonna, hatch a plan again that's gonna protect her family from rival situations. And so the plot thickens, the story unfolds, loyalties are tested, having to take a look at yourself and be honest with yourself about what you want and what you believe, and how you're using women and sex and relationships to placate and pacify hurt feelings, because he's got his own sort of demons that he's dealing with. And so this is an amazing, amazing story. Overall, this is a 4. Angst-wise, it's a 3, and spice, it's a 3. The next book is a novella that is Fallen King, and that is book 5.5. And I'm going to say this is a revelation. It's more information about what's happening with King, and more information about what's happening with all of the previous couples that you've seen before, and other sort of plots and rivals, and just evolution of the ongoing story. So that's what 5.5 is, and I don't want to say too much because it's going to spoil it, so read it in that order. And then the last book in the series is book 6, and this is Dead Man Walking, and this is B and Priest's story. So Beatrice B, she is the sister of Lulu, okay, and she is 20 years old, and Priest is he's the MC enforcer. He is the hitman, and he is a unforgiving psychopath. He is a psychopath. He is going to score high on the psychopathy scale, for sure. He showed up when he was 17 years old from Ireland. He's a mysterious guy. He's the club enforcer. He's scarred. He's broken. She, on the other hand, is good. And she's all things sweet, and she's the classic girly girl. But underneath, she has a dark side as well, because we are neither all good or all bad, right? And B really shows that she has several layers to her. And she really is the only one who can take on Priest, because Priest is a sadistic fuck, okay? He is straight crazy. And it is not in him. He does not have the capacity to love. He doesn't even know what love is. He's never seen it. He doesn't experience it. He just can't. But he knows that B is his, and that he is going to protect her at all cost. And his sort of love language is acts of service. So the fact that he keeps her safe, and that he stands guard outside her home, and that he watches over her, and he's never going to allow anything to happen to her, is his way of saying that he has fallen for her and that he loves her. And it's her goodness that changes him, and he doesn't think in any way, shape, or form that he's ever going to be good enough for her, because he recognizes that he is broken and damaged. And he is broken and damaged in that he is a cutter, he has PTSD. They bring in a lot of conversation around religion in this book, because clearly something has happened to him associated with the church. You find out as you read the story. And more information is revealed to you, but the plot thickens. There's definitely, some plot twists and turns. There are some other, rival gangs and other situations where somebody is creating and wreaking havoc, and somebody's trying to kill Lulu. And it is just, you get knee deep in it from page 1, and it is an absolute page turner, twists and turns, like I said, in terms of the plot. It's amazing. You get appearances from Zeus and Lulu. You get appearances from Lion and Harley Rose. You see Nova and Lila. You see some of the other old ladies. You see some of the other MC members. Everybody is in here, so it's an evolution. You definitely need to read this after you've read all of the other stories, so that you can get the best reading experience here. And so overall, I gave this a 5. Angst-wise, I gave it a 3. And spice-wise, I gave it a 4. And this is, like I said, the trope is that this is an absolute broken hero. So it's a slow burn in some sense. because they have to work through some of the issues. And some of you are not going to like Priest. Priest is not for everybody because he's twisted. He's twisted. But he is amazing if you give him a chance in his sick, perverted mind. And so you guys, I'm trying to decide if I want to talk about, because I also read in preparation for Giana Darling, I also read the Anti-Heroes duet. And so I'm going to say that I'm not going to talk about this yet until I read this in relation to, because this is the Lombardi family. And so we want to read the Lombardi family with the enslaved and like with the other, because there's 3 siblings in there. And so we want to do that all together. So I think I'm going to save that for over there. But overall, I'm going to say that Giana Darling writes a story like no other writer that I have encountered. She gives real life accounts, if you will. Like, we go through stuff, like it's ups and downs, right? She doesn't create artificial angst. She creates contrast with good and bad and light and dark. And that's what inherently makes it angsty and makes it really like you're there for every moment of it, because one moment you might like the character and the next moment you might be like, you're doing despicable things. And that's what gives it depth and realism. And so for her books are like all 5-star reads for sure. 4 5-star reads. They're like, you're going to be on a ride, you're going to be there for every moment of it, and you're going to feel so like amazing once that character gets that HEA, because they will have worked for it and you will have been there for every moment of it. So the Fallen Men series is no different. So we know that there is a release of book 7 that is going to be coming, and it's going to be a simultaneous release with the audiobook and book 7. We have no idea who the couples are going to be, but if you want to hear more about book 7, we talk in depth about that over on Charles's channel on the live show with Giana Darling. So, and we also get a title reveal as well, so I suggest that you go over there and check it out. But you guys, that is all that I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and please hit that bell notification button so you can be notified every time I upload a new video, which is generally Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Hit that like button because it helps me with the YouTube algorithm, and I greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you next time in my next video. Bye!